You're on the Bible Forum. It's Sunday night, October 28, 2018. I want to share with you a little bit about the wisdom of our founders. I don't think we give these guys enough credit. In this case, from looking at William Penn, as he reflects on our government. He was a great influence in our government in the early days. And you have to understand that all of these people came from European stock, where the kings of Europe just took it upon themselves to abuse people at will. And they had the opportunity to establish a nation, and they wanted it to be an enduring nation, and they didn't want a king. And William Penn, wrote how that King Charles II had been restored to the throne of his father in 1660. And William's father, Admiral Sir William Penn, pledged loyalty to King Charles II. In 1644, his son, William Penn, was born. And apparently it was a major embarrassment for the admiral to have his son expelled from Oxford. He was expelled from Oxford for associating with a dissenting religious group. Now, you do know they had religious groups in Oxford. We read about them when we read about the Reformation and other things. But he had the temerity to join up with a Quaker outfit. And the Quakers refused to submit to the king's church. At age 24, young William converted to the Society of Friends, or Quakers, and wrote, quote, "The Sandy Foundation Shaken," end of quote, for which he was imprisoned in the Tower of London for 8 months. While in prison, his father, in prison, wrote his classic book, No Cross, No Crown, stating in part that Christ's cross is Christ's way to Christ's crown. The unmortified Christian and the heathen are of the same religion, and the deity they truly worship is the God of this world, he wrote. William Penn continued, "It is a false notion that they may be children of God while in a state of disobedience to his holy commandments, and disciples of Jesus though they revolt from his cross." And several times the admiral paid the fine to get young William out of prison. And William urged his father, "I entreat thee not to purchase my liberty." Dying, the admiral insisted on once again paying the fine, telling his son, quote, "Let nothing in this world tempt you to wrong your conscience." Now, the admiral had secured from the king, due to his lifetime of faithful service to England, a promise to have favor shown to his son. And after he died, young William used his inheritance to buy West Jersey, with the intention of having Quakers emigrate there from England. When Penn appealed to the King of England, King Charles II, for more land, the king surprised Penn by granting him a charter for 45,000 square miles, naming it Pennsylvania. This made William Penn the largest non-royal landowner in the world. William Penn's frame of government that he wrote for his particular colony became a model not only for most of the state governments, but also for the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. The Continental Congress met in Pennsylvania. Both the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution were written there. Regarding his colony of Pennsylvania, William Penn wrote to a friend in 1681 declaring that he would, quote, "make and establish such laws as shall best preserve true Christian and civil liberty in all opposition to all unchristian practices. God that has given it to me through many difficulties will, I believe, bless and make it the seed of a nation. William Penn wrote the preface for Pennsylvania's frame of government in May of 1682, saying, quote, "When the great and wise God had made the world for all his creatures, it pleased him to choose man his deputy to rule it. And to fit him for so great a charge and trust, he did not only qualify him with skill and power, but with integrity to use them justly." William Penn concluded, "This the apostle teaches in divers of his epistles," speaking of the apostle Paul. "The law," says he, "was added because of transgression. Let every soul be subject to the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power resisteth the ordinance of God. For rulers are not a terror of good works, but to evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. He is a minister of God to thee for good. Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but for conscience sake." William Penn went on to write, "This settles the divine right of government beyond exception, and that for two ends. First, to terrify evildoers, and secondly, to cherish those that do well, which gives government a life beyond corruption, and makes it as durable in the world as good men shall be. Wherefore governments depend upon men, rather than men upon governments. Let men be good, and the government cannot be bad. If it be ill, they will cure it. But if men be bad, let the government be never so good. They will endeavor to warp it and spoil it to their turn. I know some day," he wrote, I know some say, let us have good laws and no matter for the men that execute them. But let them consider this, that though good laws do well, good men do better." My prayer is that you will be good men. You ladies too. Be good. For God's sake.